Hello everybody, it's Laura Husband here from Hairdressers Journal International, and today's session, which is on a very hot Tuesday afternoon, so I would like to thank the amazing Casey Coleman and his model Amy for joining us in the heat. It's a live styling tutorial with Casey Coleman, which is supported by Cloud9, which is for all of the professionals out there, you know that you love it. Let Cloud9 give you what you need. It's a styling range that gives you the freedom to experiment. There's a wide range of products and temperature settings to get your look sorted. And Cloud9 would like to say welcome to the salon retail exclusive Alchemy range. And whether you're watching this on Zoom or on Facebook, you'll see that there's a link, cloud9hair.com/pages/professional, where you'll be able to find out more about Cloud9's Alchemy range. It's a professional quality range of electrical tools that clients can only purchase in professional salons. So hello there to Casey and to Amy. Thank you so much for joining us in the heat this afternoon.
We're literally really clammy right now. We're a little bit warm, but we're going to do our very best to create some really cool styles.
Oh, well, you're looking good, which is fantastic. Brilliant. Well, first of all, do you want to maybe just tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing on your gorgeous model Amy today for us?
Absolutely. So what I'm going to be doing today is creating a really relaxed and beachy wave. I find that the term beachy is used quite often, especially through spring and summer. So I think it's bang on trend right now. It's something that we can all utilize for our clients. Any age, most hair lengths. I use this technique on long hair, short hair, shag haircuts, lob haircuts, bowl haircuts. It really doesn't matter. You can literally transform a haircut or anything just using this simple technique.
Amazing, fantastic. Yeah.
So I'm gonna start by taking off my model's face mask apparently. I'm telling you now, if every hairdresser using a comb around the face, it happens all the time,
I bet.
All day, every day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by sectioning off the back. I'm going to work with the back first because I really want to concentrate on the front at once. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the iron and create movement, but create movement using it vertically and not horizontally.
Right.
And what I mean by that is sometimes when we're using our Cloud9 tool, if we pull the iron out, we end up with a curl or a ringlet. But that's not what we're going for here. We're going for something that's really relaxed, really quite wearable, almost like day 2 hair, or just kind of just come out the sea, a little bit wavy. That's the kind of wave that we're going for.
Perfect for right now then, Casey.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I feel like I'm on the beach right now. I feel like I've got sea salt everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by placing the hair in the bottom of my plate. And what I mean by that is if you're doing this at home or if a client is doing this, they need to be explaining that the hair needs to go in the bottom of the plate. So if the plate is held like this is the bottom. If they're doing it like this is the bottom. It always needs to be the bottom of the plate. And that's just because when we close the iron, wrap it and pull it down, which I'll show you in a second, the hair will slide up the iron. Whereas if we put it in the top of the plate, it'll slide out of the plate and you're not going to get any movement. You're not going to get any heat interaction. So I'm just going to show you. So I'm going to put the hair in the bottom of the plate, turn it 180 degrees, and then pull the plate down. And that didn't work. So let's do that again. So we're going to pull that down.
Yep.
And cool. And we just end up with a really soft movement. I'm just going to spin it in a little bit more just so you guys can see it.
Oh,
now, what I'm going to do to kind of create that beachy kind of vibe, each section is going to differ in direction. So one section will turn to the right, the next section will turn to the left. And I'm using 150 degrees on these as well. I will say I use Cloud9 primarily because they have a prescriptive heat. And that basically means that I can choose the right heat for my client's hair type. There are so many irons that you can't choose heat on. And I think it's super important that you're able to prescribe a heat for a specific hair type.
Definitely.
It's almost like if you have a silk blouse, for instance, and you put it on a really, really high heat, the iron, and you put an iron onto a silk blouse, it's just going to shrivel and it's going to burn and it's going to singe. Whereas if you put it on a low heat, it'll just smooth out the creases, and it'll just kind of go exactly how you want it. And hair should be treated exactly the same way because it's a very, very fragile material.
Can you maybe, that was a great piece of advice that you gave about the temperature settings, which you get on the Cloud9 Alchemy range.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to your different types of client as to what heat to use?
So generally, the finer or the more vulnerable the hair, the lower the heat. So if hair is quite fine, then I would use maybe 125 to 150 maximum. If the hair is normal, medium, I would use it between 150 and 175. And that would all depend on also what style I'm creating. If I'm creating a wave, I tend to use a slightly lower heat than I would to get it super, super smooth. And the, like I say, the Alchemy collection, they're only available in salons as well. And I think that when clients learn that something is exclusive to professionals, they kind of want it even more. Definitely. Because it's not available on eBay. It's not even available on the Cloud9 website. You can literally only get it from a Cloud9 salon. And that is a great, great selling tool for anybody using a professional product.
100%. And I guess that also means, Casey, that you can prescribe which temperature your client should be using when they take the tool home. You can get it all ready for them.
Absolutely.
Before they take it away.
I think as hairdressers, sometimes we forget that clients don't know what to do with their hair. So I think it's really important that we inform our clients that actually you can get away with only using 125 degrees. You don't need to turn the heat all the way up. For some reason, there's some sort of myth about the hotter the hair, the hotter the iron, the smoother or the straighter your hair will be. Well, actually, that's not true at all. The hotter the iron, the more damage you'll be, probably, absolutely. But if somebody has medium to fine hair, they're not going to require 200 degrees or 180 or 170 degrees. You're only going to require maybe 125 to 150. And I think that's a really, really important part of what we do as hairdressers. You know, we're built to keep the hair in shape. You know, we look after the hair integrity. So by whacking the heat up and kind of making it as hot as possible isn't something that I'd always highly recommend. And that's why it becomes such a prescriptive product. And it feels personal to the client because they've had a specific heat given to them, knowing that they can't use it with most of the products.
Fantastic. We've actually had a question come in, Casey. Thank you very much, Deb Connie, for asking us. She's asking, what about Afro hair when using the Alchemy range from Cloud9?
Perfect. Again, it would depend because a lot of textured hair can be quite fragile. So I'd always recommend blow drying first. A lot of the time, if I'm blow drying difficult hair or hair that isn't straight or naturally smooth, what I would do is I would use this here, which is the Cloud9 Magic Quick Dry Potion, and it helps the hair dry much quicker. But it's oil based, so it actually protects and it moisturizes hair. So when it comes to textured hair, it's perfect because it adds additional moisture, so that when we go ahead and use an iron on there, the only moisture that's going to be released is part of the moisture that we just put in. So there's no removal of moisture, only removal of product. And I think that's super, super important, like I say, especially when using it on textured hair. So temperature-wise on textured hair, again, it would all depend on the specific hair type. I think there are so many different types of textured hair, whereas a lot of people presume that there's only one kind of textured or Afro-Caribbean hair, and that's not the case at all. There's quite a lot of different types of textured hair. So I think that once you determine the type of textured hair that you're working with, you can then determine the amount of heat that you require for that client.
That's great advice, Casey. And another question for you: why did you decide to use the straightening iron as opposed to a wand or a curling tong? How do you make that decision, and how do you explain that to your clients?
I always go by versatility. there's something about versatility in an iron that I love. If I use an iron, I can use it to straighten, I can use it to curl, I can use it to wave. If I wrap the hair around a pencil and clamp it with an iron, I can create a corkscrew curl. There's so much that you can do with one tool. This tool can pretty much do whatever you like. Whereas if I wanted to use a wand, great, I can create a few different kinds of curls with a wand by how I wrap the hair around it. However, can I straighten the hair with a wand? Not really. I could probably kind of smooth down some frizz or kind of tame a little bit, a few flyaways, but I can't do as much as I can with an iron. I also love the fact that with an iron, I can control exactly what kind of movement I'm going to get. So for example, here, I'm pulling the iron down using my Alchemy straightener, and I know that I'm going to get more of a spiral rather than a ringlet or a curl. And again, it's about, like I say, versatility and having more control. It's also like I said, these are prescriptive heat, but you can also prescribe different kinds of styling with one tool, which is perfect.
Fantastic.
So the Alchemy range, even though I'm using the iron at the moment, there is an Alchemy wand, and there's an Alchemy Airshot hairdryer from Cloud9. So if clients prefer to use a wand, because I know, and I'm very well aware, that some clients struggle with curling their hair with a straightener, because it's simply quite difficult to get the twist in the iron, and kind of, it's quite fiddly. So if a client wants to use the wand, then they can use the wand, or they can use the iron. It's completely up to them. I think it's about catering it to the specific client that you have in the chat.
And having that conversation with them first as to what tool they would feel most comfortable with.
Absolutely. And I think, if we're using it in the salon, we can always ask, how do you find curling hair with a straightener? Even giving the iron to your client and saying, like, okay, show me how you put a wave in your hair. I'll stand here and watch you, and then there's a way that you can kind of correct them, or if they feel too kind of fiddly, then say maybe a wand is better off for you, because you're literally just wrapping hair around a hot wand, and that's all you have to do. So like you say, it's down to the specific client you have in your chair.
Definitely fantastic. And we've actually had a question from Deborah Lola, who said, how do you ensure the waves don't drop out of the hair?
So again, I have prepped this hair. So when you blow dry, you never rough dry. You should always blow dry with my client's hair. I've blow dried it with a holding cream, and I've also blow dried it with the Magic Quick Dry Potion. So if I've blow dried it with a strong product, then I know that the wave isn't going to drop out that much. Now, another way to do it is creating a slightly tighter movement than the desired result, so it has room to drop. That way, what you're doing is you're allowing the client to know, or if you tell the client, right, okay, I'm going to do it a bit tighter so that it'll drop in the next half an hour, at least then they expect to drop. I think there's nothing wrong with being honest with your client. If you know that the hair is going to drop, because some hair just doesn't accept a curl no matter how much product or anything you put on it, because there's no layers and it's all the way down here, and they want really tight ringlets. So I think some clients need to be educated on why the curl will drop. But normally, another way to do it is after you finish a row. So for instance, now I'll finish this row here. And this works, I find this technique works better with a wand than it would with an iron, is that once I finish, I would then kind of scrunch and wait until it cools down. That way, you're kind of scrunching all the movement up, and you're allowing it to set still as a ringlet. Whereas if you let it set in gravity, should we say, and it's being pulled down, then it will drop a bit more than usual.
That makes sense. We've also had Deb, who asked us about Afro hair earlier on, has asked about relaxed hair as well.
So again, I would normally only use a lower heat on relaxed hair, because the chemical has already done the job. So all you're doing is just smoothing, really. You're just kind of refining what's already been done. It's quite difficult because, and this is it's a very political kind of statement to make, but not everybody has been taught how to take care of textured hair, which is really, really unfortunate. It's systemic, and we're aware of it at the moment, thankfully, and a lot of people are trying to, fix that. But I think that as long as people understand that it's just as fragile as any of the hair, if not even more fragile, because it's so tight. And so when it's been relaxed and it's had that chemical process, it's even more fragile than it normally would be again. So as long as you're just kind of catering to the specific client, if you don't think that they can handle a high heat, don't use a high heat. Just use a low heat just to smooth it over.
And would you, if you're unsure, Casey, would you start at a lower heat first?
Absolutely, absolutely. You can always, I would always test hair underneath. Never test hair on the hairline, because again, it's more fragile. Always test a bit of hair underneath. And I promise you, if you have somebody with textured hair especially, if you use 125 degrees on one side and 200 on the other, you're going to see a difference in the result. Absolutely. But if you then go above that and just try 150 degrees across the whole section, you might find that you kind of get a gap in meeting anyway. But definitely testing out sections is always highly recommended.
Perfect. So a great tip there. So start lower and work your way up. And just be wary that Afro hair, whether it's relaxed or not, could still be quite fragile. So you've got to be careful with it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Fantastic. We've had another question come through, Casey. It's great to see so many of you tuning in with us on this very hot Tuesday afternoon.
I know. I don't know how people are sat at home or sat.
I know. I have to say, I'm super hot. I know. And you guys are all in black, so you must be absolutely roasting. So thank you so much.
I'm not even going to explain to you.
Oh dear, we won't go into too much detail there, Casey.
No.
So we've had somebody ask, what's the differences between the original Cloud9 range and the Alchemy range? Could you maybe explain that? Yeah.
So the original range is available in several places, i.e. you can buy it online, you can buy it from some independent suppliers, you can buy it from a few different places. The Alchemy range is specifically just catered for professional only. So Cloud9 will only sell the Alchemy range to a salon. They won't sell it to a wholesaler, they won't sell it to a website. It will specifically only be available from a hair care professional. So Cloud9 don't really change the color of their irons, which I kind of love, because it's not kind of like an all singing, all dancing kind of, smoke and mirrors thing. They let their technology do the talking, which I love. But to differentiate, I got the word right.
Got the word right
there. Between the original and the Alchemy, they all have rose gold hints. So you have rose gold Cloud9 banding. So there's a slight feeling of a bit more luxury, a bit more expensive. And some of the Alchemy range, it used to come with a wide tooth comb, like a tortoise shell comb, which is gorgeous and amazing for brushing waves out like this. I'll use it in a moment, and I'll show you how really great this is. But there you go. So this comb also comes with a select few of their packs as well. So if you kind of keep an eye out for that, because it really is a great tool to use.
Definitely. And I guess that this must all really help with selling the electrical tools in the salon, Casey, because you can say you can only get it here.
Absolutely. I think people have gone off stocking electrical items in their salons. I think it's kind of been something that people have been put off with recently. I don't know why, but I have now, more than ever, after lockdown, had so many requests for heated tools, because people are now wanting to spend more money on themselves. They're now wanting to spend more money on quality and not just anything off the shelf. People want that luxury. And I think that the Cloud9 Alchemy collection is the perfect collection to offer your clients if that's what they're after. Even if they're not after luxury and they're just after something really good, that's exactly what it is. The beautiful thing about this collection is it's affordable. That's great. It's no more than any other competing brand. In fact, it's probably a little bit less. And it's great quality. So things like you can choose the temperature, The plates are infused with minerals. So when you're going over the hair, you're infusing the hair with minerals. Everything is thought out with condition and integrity in mind. And that is a perfect way to sell this product.
Fantastic. And Casey, someone was just asking us what spray you were using there. Would you be able to show us the spray once you've finished that section?
I can. It's not the Cloud9 product because they don't have a styling range. But I'm actually using a product. So I have Gold Bug salon. So I'm using the KMS 2-in-1 spray, which is a both hold and heat defense. So again, I've always got integrity in mind, and always look to kind of protect the hair and make sure it's well looked after, while still being able to style and create something that's really wearable and that'll last long as well. Because there's no point in my client coming in for a blow dry or getting a colour done and then leaving, and then 10 minutes later it's all kind of dropped out, you know. I done Amy's hair last week, and bless her, because she's a local influencer, she put on a face of makeup at 10:30 at night to do a post.
Oh,
but her hair still looked great. That's what I'm trying to get at here. I could use the Cloud9, the Alchemy collection, so it was perfect.
Fantastic. And maybe you could talk us a bit about what you're doing at the moment, Casey, and any hints and tips you can give for helping clients to section their own hair when they're trying to do this themselves at home.
Yeah, definitely. I always try and tell clients to think of it as a 4-tier section. So there's 4 tiers to the head. There's the bottom part below the middle of the ear. There's the bottom middle, which is like on the occipital. It's like from the top of the ear back. Then you go from the temples back, and then you have the top. So those 4 sections, if you get your client to understand that they can use those 4 sections, always start at the back first, because it's the hardest area to do, so that when they get to the top, they know, oh, well, I've just got the top to do, and I know how to do that. It's much easier. Starting off with the hardest area first is always highly recommended. And what I'm doing here is, whenever I have, it's what I call a center sweep. So a center part with that kind of like grown out fringe.
Yeah.
Whenever we have that, we always try and turn the iron away from the face. So whatever side you're on, always turn away from the face. And that's because if we turn the iron towards the face, the hair will naturally sit forward. And that's not what we want. We want to open up the facial features. We don't want to smother them or cover them.
Another great tip there, Casey.
Yeah, do you know what? I think that I didn't actually know that until about 5 or 6 years ago. And could never understand why one side would always sit forward and the other side would always sit back. But then I realized I was doing all the curls the same way. So by definitely I'm going to turn Amy a little bit more. Brilliant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth over the root area there, because it's a little bit hot in here, so it's getting a little bit static. Yeah. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to put the hair in the bottom of my plate, and I'm going to slide the hair down, just like this. So turn, and I'm going to slide the iron down. And the reason I'm sliding it down is to create a really soft spiral, rather than a tight wave or anything that's too bouncy, because we don't want a bouncy result. We want something that's a little bit more casual, a little bit more kind of cool girl, rather than kind of bouncy and glamorous.
Yeah. Casey, if I mean, this would be relevant for a client or for a hairdresser, but if you do a section wrong, if the wave just doesn't come out the way you want it to come out,
yeah,
what would be your advice or hints and tips for correcting it without it kind of looking?
It depends what product you've used on it prior. Yeah. I do have a product that I use. Again, it's not a Cloud9 product, but it's a spray that I use that allows me to, I can straighten and then I can curl, and I get great results, and then I can go back over it and straighten it again. So finding the right prep product is key. Because A, you need to protect the hair, but B, you also need to make sure that if you do make a mistake, you can either leave it cool down and then go back to it, so leave it set and then go back to it, or if you have a great product, you can just kind of go over it and you just still get a great result. But I do think it's all in the prep product. I think however you're blow drying, whatever you're blow drying with, and again, I'll always go back to this spray, the magical quick dry spray. You can use this on dry to use your irons, and it creates a really smooth result. It's quite a great product. So if you do have that moment where you make a mistake, just leave it settle for a few minutes and then go back to it on a slightly lower temperature.
Oh, that's a great tip, Casey. So you'd kind of keep doing a few more sections and then go back to it.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. So I'm gonna brush this out now using my Cloud9 whitest comb.
Gorgeous.
Lovely. So,
beautiful.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of release all of that movement, just so we kind of get that really nice beachy texture.
That's stunning.
And then what we do is when we brush out the front, we'll use our fingers to manipulate the hair. So again, the spray that I've been using to protect it, I'm also going to use to spray on again for a little bit of hold.
I might have to get you to show those products again, because Jan Peace, who's watching, has just asked, what's the product? So I might have to get you to show them again at some point.
At the very end, I'll show everybody exactly what I've used and when I used it, and I'll give you kind of like a lowdown.
Brilliant, perfect.
So what I'm going to do now is, if you sit up right up me, that's it. So I'm going to push the hair forward onto my client's face, like this, all right? And that way, what we're doing is we're creating texture and root lift around here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of tease these pieces out with our index finger and our thumb, just to help that sit off the face there. And what we've created is we've created density and volume here with hardly any effort whatsoever. Just by sliding the iron down, we've created a really soft movement. But when you build up that movement, you end up getting more volume on the side. So if somebody had, for instance, quite a square face, and they had this length of hair, it wouldn't do this. Because what you're going to add is you're going to add width, and that's not what we need on somebody of that face shape. Right. Whereas most of the clients who are slightly angled on the chin, especially female clients, a lot of female clients have like a more of a rounded chin or a pointed chin. This is perfect because what it does is it adds width and it adds that volume that they need without making it look like you've backcombed your hair and wrinkles loud. You know, when it first started, it was terrible. We don't want that hair anymore. That can stay back then. But yeah, I mean, you can really texturize this and really kind of build it up. So, you know, whatever product you're using, you can really kind of create that really nice, full, beachy texture.
Amazing. She looks like she needs to be going to a pool party now, doesn't she?
We literally just said she should be laying by a pool right now.
She really should be. Pina colada in hand.
But yeah, so that's the finished look, really, guys. And it's nice, it's simple, and you know what? It's great because it really exaggerates the color, and it looks great on my client as well. Especially after cutting shorter pieces around the front here, you know, it's perfect for Amy because what you know, Amy calls our center suit the curtains. So it really exaggerates the money piece that we put in around the curtains. And it just helps the colour kind of shine, and it looks a little bit more lived in. It looks a little bit more, it doesn't look as contrived or as like forced. It just looks a little bit cooler, you know, minimal effort, even though we put maximum effort into it. It just looks really cool and just kind of like low-key.
It looks like she's kind of just woken up that way and it's just gorgeous and
shook her hair a little bit.
Born that way, exactly. Oh, fantastic. That was a great tip as well, Casey, about looking at the client's face shape. So I guess if you're trying to promote or sell a professional tool to a client, you'd kind of show them how to do the front parts based on their own face shape.
We're taught to deal with face shapes a lot of the time. So I think that even though we use them predominantly in cutting, I think styling is equally as important and showing your client what's right and what's wrong. For example, if somebody has quite a pointed chin, we wouldn't give them a load of volume at the crown because what it does is it kind of extends the face like this. So there's so many like little kind of hints and tips that we could be using on face shapes. And if we make our clients aware, then they'll tell their friends about it. And then all of a sudden their friends will want to come to you because you taught them this goal. And then it just kind of becomes that kind of circle of trust with all these people. And it's just a great way to build a clientele just by using a heated tool.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Casey. So should we do maybe a little roundup where you kind of talk us through everything that you did and the products that you used? Kate has just said superb demo, by the way, Casey.
Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Another quick question before we go into our little roundup, because I know you're both sweltering there and I want to get some air. Yeah, exactly. Would you use a texturizing spray at all?
Yeah, so if anything, so I have another it's getting to me. I have another spray here, which is called Playable Texture. So the reason I use the 2-in-1 spray is because it's very, very easy to just kind of comb out and brush out. It's quite a soft product, so there's not much residue left in the hair if I want to kind of brush that out and soften it out. However, if you want to use a texture spray and really kind of go in there and really kind of create that really kind of rock and roll texture, then lean forward to me, hun. That's it. Then kind of shaking it up a little bit and spraying this in here. Even spraying it on the roots to kind of create a little bit more of a textured root is perfect.
Amazing.
And then again, lift your head up for me. So what we then do is just literally kind of spray everything out.
And that still looks super natural, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just looks kind of great. And you can build that product like that, and you can really go quite heavy with the texture product as well. It just depends on the desired result, to be honest.
Yeah, perfect, brilliant. So I'll leave it in your hands, Casey, to explain to us, do a little wrap up, show us what products you use throughout.
Brilliant. So first of all, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for watching. It's been a really, I know it's sweltering outside, but it's actually been a really, really fun live for me to do. I love doing hair like this. So thank you, everybody, for watching.
You're very welcome. We've absolutely loved having you, Casey, and Amy as well. No, it's been fantastic. And everyone's been loving your tutorial here.
Oh, yes. So I started by creating a multi-dimensional wave. And how we do that is we use the Alchemy Cloud9 medium original iron. And we always ensure the hair is in the bottom of the plate. So depending on how you're holding the iron, if it's like this is the bottom of the plate. If you're coming over, this is the bottom of the plate. Once we've put the hair in there and we've turned it 180 degrees, not 360, 180, we then kind of diagonally pull down and out. And that creates more of a spiral, as opposed to if we're to pull out, it'll create more of a bounce and more of a curl. The reason we put the hair in the bottom of the plate is so that when it kind of slides up the iron, it slides up the plate and not just kind of slides up the iron, okay? And then, so what we do is we alternate every section. So every wave was the opposite direction to the last. So that curl there was to the right, the next one will be to the left, right, left, etc. And we just worked our way up a 4-tier section. So the bottom, just below the occipital, and then from the recession round, and then the top section. And then when we got to the fringe here, we always ensure that the hair of the hairline is always turned away from the face. So if your client is doing it, they kind of need to hold the iron like this, turn it and put it down like that. Again, turn it and put it down like that. And that's the best way to do it. I always use a heat defense spray. So when I blow dried with a straightening cream, but I also use the quick dry magical potion from Cloud9. You can also use this on dry. So if you don't want a lot of product in the hair and you want to leave the client feeling a bit more natural, a bit as if they haven't got any product in their hair, then use this also when using the irons as well. Because it's an oil base, it'll never singe the hair. Instead, it'll just kind of lock all the goodness inside the hair.
Amazing. So that was the Cloud9 quick dry magical potion for anybody that
Cloud9 quick dry magical potion.
I didn't catch that. Yep.
And then we have the KMS 2-in-1 thermoshake spray, and this is purely for heat defense and it's also for hold, which is great. So if you're using this whilst using your tool, you're creating hold and you're defending the hair from any heat damage. I only use 150 degrees on Amy's hair because she has medium textured hair. It's not fine, it's not thick, it's middle of the road. So I use 150 degrees. The maximum temperature that I would use on Amy, 175 maybe at a push. But that's only after maybe a year and a half, 2 years of using this iron. I wouldn't kind of just whack the heat up straight away. I kind of start on a lower heat and work my way up. And then to finish off, we use Playable Texture, which is a spray here, to create a really lived-in beachy texture.
Amazing, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Casey, and to Amy. I think everyone watching will agree that Amy looks absolutely stunning with her beachy waves. And you should be going to a pool party now and have a nice cocktail in hand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you to Cloud9 for supporting our session, and to Casey for sharing the amazing Alchemy range with us as well, which you can get by going to cloud9hair.com/pages/professional for more information about it. But I would have to say, Casey, you've explained it very well, and the results are magnificent.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. We hope you can have a bit of a cool down after this session as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
I know, I am as well. I'm going to go and get a cold drink. I hope you guys can do the same. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.